Welcome to Middle School Academic Derby. I'm Brent Anderson, and I'll be your moderator for today's match between the Knights from Jacksonville Commons Middle School and the Falcons from Trexler Middle School. Let's get started by introducing our teams. First, we'd like to introduce our team from Trexler Middle School, coached by Stephanie Caston.
Ethan Fetch, 6th grade.
Azell Solomon, 8th grade.
Jessica Housel, 8th grade.
Tiffany Echternock, 7th grade.
And now our team from Jacksonville Commons Middle School, coached by Elise Thomas.
Troy Phillip, 8th grade.
Jacob Moats, 8th grade.
Kennedy here, 7th grade.
Anaya Batts, 6th grade.
All right. Now in our first round, we're going to ask 7 questions to each team. If the first team doesn't answer, the second team will have a chance at the same question. After the first team has had a chance to answer all their questions, the second team will have the same opportunity. In our first round, we begin with our team on the top row, which is Jacksonville Commons Middle. So go ahead and pick up your buzzers, Jacksonville Commons, and we're going to get you started with a phrases question. Upping the United States risk status to code orange led some to say that frequent warnings wear down the public's ability to listen. Complete the phrase, cry blank, borrowed from Aesop to designate a warning that comes to be seen as unnecessary or false. All right. Azell.
Wolf.
Yes, correct. Cry wolf is what we're looking for there. All right, our next question for you, Jacksonville Commons, is a sculpture question. A 15th century 4-foot bronze sculpture of the biblical David for the first time left Florence in 2003 for an exhibit at the High Museum in Atlanta. Name the biblical figure whose severed head is sculpted at its base, commemorating David's felling of a giant. Jacob.
Goliath.
Goliath is correct. All right, next we have a math question for you, Jacksonville Commons, so pencil and paper ready, and I will read the question twice, and you have a little bit of extra time to come up with an answer. What percentage is the equivalent of 2/25? So again, what percentage is the equivalent of 2/25? Jacob.
8%.
8% is correct. All right, Jacksonville Commons, your next question is a world historical figures question. Among those attempting to recover from Taliban rule in Afghanistan are the Hazaras, a group of about 5 million descended from warriors of the 13th century Mongol conqueror whose empire stretched from China into Persia. Name this Mongol conqueror. Jacob.
Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan is correct. All right, our next question for you is a vocabulary question. Astronauts from the Space Shuttle Atlantis installed a 14-ton beam on the International Space Station. What word beginning with G means or names such a beam? Jacob.
Girder.
Girder is correct. And it took 3 spacewalks to install that device on the International Space Station. All right, Jacksonville Commons, your next question is a U.S. history question. Name the U.S. Supreme Court Justice who served the longest term at 36 years. His first name is William, and his middle initial is O. All right, Trexler. All right, this man is William O. Douglas. William Douglas. All right, and our final question for you, Jacksonville Commons, for our first round is a geography question. Which state bordering both California and Oregon entered the Union on October 31st, 1864? right, Trexler? Azell?
Washington.
No, not Washington. A little to the east of that, Nevada. So Nevada bordering both California and Oregon. All right, we're going to move now to Trexler for your set of questions, and we're going to get you guys started with a math question right out of the gate. So we'll involve some computation, so go ahead and pencil and paper ready. Read the question twice, and as always, have a little extra time to come up with an answer. Find the sum of 2.5 plus its reciprocal. So again, find the sum of 2.5 plus its reciprocal. Okay, Jacksonville comments? Okay, that is 2 9/10 is the answer we're looking for there. All right, Trexler, your next question is a vocabulary question. In a 5-4 decision upholding an Ohio law, the U.S. Supreme Court in 2002 opened the way for tax money to be used for tuition at private or parochial schools. Which word, beginning with the letter V, designates such a payment made to students for paying tuition at the school of their choice? All right, Jacksonville comments? All right, that V word is a voucher, All right, next we have a spelling question for you, Trexler. Spell the name of the dome-shaped muscle that is the chief muscle used in breathing. Jessica.
D-I-A-P-H-R-A-G-M.
That is correct, and diaphragm is what we're looking for there. Good job. Next, Trexler, your next question is going to be a literature question. Among the 350 inscribed first editions of 20th century literary classics auctioned by Christie's in 2002, in which book by L. Frank Baum illustrated with a bespectacled lion? All right, Jacksonville comments? All right, we don't usually think about the lion wearing glasses, but it is The Wonderful World of Oz in the book. All right, next we have a U.S. historical figures question. A 2001 PBS documentary focused on the late U.S. photographer known for his black and white photos of natural spots, such as sand dunes in California. Identify this man whose first name is Ansel and who has the surname of 2 Massachusetts-born presidents. Okay, Jacksonville comments? All right, this famous photographer is Ansel Adams. All right, next, Trexler, we have a math question for you. And a hiking team begins at camp and hikes 5 miles north, then 8 miles west, then 6 miles south, then 8 miles east, then 1 mile north. In what direction must they now travel in order to return to camp? So again, a hiking team begins at camp and hikes 5 miles north, then 8 miles west, then 6 miles south, then 8 miles east, then 1 mile north. In what direction must they now travel in order to return to camp? Tiffany?
South.
That is incorrect. Okay, Jacksonville comments? Jacob?
North.
No, that's incorrect as well. This one required a little kind of circular thinking. They're already back at camp. They've made a complete square and have gotten back to the camp, so there was no direction needed there. All right, and our final question for our first round is a vocabulary question. The United States ended its 2002 fiscal or financial year with a $159 billion deficit. Identify either the color of ink said to represent a deficit or the word beginning with S designating income left over after expenses. Jessica.
Salary.
That's incorrect. Jacksonville Commons. All right, when we think of having a deficit, we're talking about red ink, used to indicate negative numbers, and a surplus is the money left over after expenses. All right, that takes us to the end of our first round. We'll be right back with our score after this break. Please stay tuned.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Welcome back to Middle School Academic Derby. After our first round, our score is Jacksonville Commons 8 and Trexler 4. We're going to move now into our bonus round where either team may buzz in and answer the question. If the question is answered correctly, there will be 4 bonus questions asked, the answer of which must be given to the captain of the team. We have some new players to introduce, so let's meet them now, beginning with our team from Trexler Middle School.
Caroline Cubis, 8th grade.
And now our new players from Jacksonville Commons Middle School.
Anthony Somerville, 8th grade.
Jana Richardson, 7th grade.
All right. Now, Azelle, you're the captain for your team, and Jacob, you're the captain for your team. If you guys go ahead and pick up your buzzers, we're going to get started with our first question, which is a literature question. In which state is Washington Irving's short story entitled Rip Van Winkle set? Azelle.
North Carolina.
That is incorrect. Jacksonville Commons. All right, set in the town of Sleepy Hollow, which is in the state of New York. All right, next we have an art question for you. Name the American artist with initials G.W. who painted American Gothic, a work in which an American farmer with a pitchfork is pictured with his sister. And that famous painting painted by Grant Wood. All right, next we have a music toss-up question. Name the type of musical note designated by a darkened face and 2 flags. Azelle.
16th note.
16th note is correct. All right, and Trexler, here are your 4 bonus questions. Give the meaning of these Italian words used in music. Number 1, fortissimo. Number 2, piano. Number 3, a cappella. And number 4, da capo. All right, Azelle, what you got?
For number 1, we have very loud. For number 2, we have quiet. And for number 3, we have using vocals only.
All right, those are all correct. Jacob, anything for number 4?
No, sir.
All right. Da capo means return to the beginning or repeated from the beginning. Okay? All right. Going to move now, as soon as I can get my page turned, to a math toss-up question. So just like in our first round, I'll read the question twice, and you'll have some extra time to come up with an answer. Find the product of 3 1/4 and 2 1/3 and express your answer as a mixed number in reduced terms. Again, find the product of 3 1/4 and 2 1/3 and express your answer as a mixed number in reduced terms. Tiffany.
6 and 1/12.
That is incorrect. Jacksonville Commons. All right, Tiffany, you're on the right track. It is 7 7/12. 7 7/12. All right, next we have a geology toss-up question for everybody. Which term is used in geology to designate the thick layer of solid rock between the core and the crust? Tiffany.
Mantle.
Mantle is correct. All right, and Trexler, here are your 4 bonus questions. Identify each of the following as igneous, metamorphic, or sedimentary. So igneous, metamorphic, or sedimentary. All right, number 1, obsidian. Number 2, granite. Number 3, chalk. And number 4, soapstone. All right, Izzo, what you got?
For number 1, we have igneous. For number 2, we have sedimentary. For number 3, we have metamorphic. And for number 4, we have metamorphic.
Number 1 and number 4 are correct. Jacob, anything for number 2 or 3?
For number 2, we have metamorphic, and for number 3, we have sedimentary.
Number 3 is correct for that one. And let's see, granite is an igneous rock. Igneous rock. All right, our next toss-up question is going to be a historical figures question. Name the historical figure who operated under the code name Moses as she led slaves to freedom in Canada. Azelle.
Harriet Tubman.
Harriet Tubman is correct. All right, and Trexler, here are your 4 bonus questions. Name each of the following historical figures. Number 1, South African bishop who won the 1984 Nobel Prize for Peace. Number 2, the great Israelite king known for his wisdom. Number 3, Georgia Ryder, author of The Color Purple, who honors her mother in Search of Our Mother's Gardens. And number 4, Norwegian who sailed a raft named the Kon-Tiki from Peru to Polynesia to prove his theory about the settlement of the islands. All right, Izzo.
For number 2, we have Solomon.
All right, anything for the others? No. And that is correct. All right, Jacob, number 1, 3, and 4 are still available?
We do not have.
All right. South African bishop who won the 1984 Nobel Prize is Desmond Tutu. Let's see, number 3, Alice Walker is the author of The Color Purple. And Thor Heyerdahl was the Norwegian who sailed the raft named Kon-Tiki from Peru to Polynesia. All right. Next, we have a geography question for you. Which 2 European countries are located on the Jutland Peninsula? One is a Scandinavian country whose mainland part is located there, and the other one's state of Schleswig-Holstein is located on the peninsula's southern part. All right, those 2 countries are Denmark and Germany. Denmark and Germany. And that bell tells us that we've come to the end of our second round. We'll be right back with our lightning round and our score after this break.
They're coming. Places, everybody. Light check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Everything looks good on our end.
And lights.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Oh, emojis! I thought the conversation just got dumber.
Ugh, internet trolls, just ignore them.
I like you just the way you are.
I believe in you!
She's a hugger. Give her a squeeze.
Help up the hand.
Ah, there you go.
Thanks, mate.
You're killing it, Jane!
Welcome back to the Middle School Academic Derby Lightning Round. After our second round, our score is Jacksonville Commons 10 and Trexler 22. We have some new players to meet, so let's meet them now for our team from Jacksonville Commons Middle School.
Connor Denton, 8th grade. Jordan Hamilton, 7th grade.
All right. Now for our lightning round, we're going to be asking a series of 20 questions in 2 minutes. Remember that you must wait until I call your name before you give an answer, and any incorrect answers will give points to the other team. So if you pick up your buzzers, we're going to go ahead and get ready to get started. I will tell you that all of the answers in this lightning round begin with either the letter X, Y, or Z. So X, Y, or Z will begin all of the answers in this one. All right, buzzers ready? We're going to get started. Another name for a sweet potato. Tiffany.
Yam.
Correct. The number that means nothing. Ethan.
0.
Correct. A wild relative of the horse having black and white. Azelle.
Zebra.
Correct. If you have 2 of these, you're female. If you have only 1, you are male. Oh, Jacob.
X chromosome.
X chromosome is correct. A large pleasure boat. Jessica.
Yacht.
Correct. The highest point or the best. Time. America's oldest national park where Old Faithful is. Jacob.
Yellowstone.
Correct. In Greek mythology, the ruler of the gods. Giselle.
Zeus.
Correct. 3 feet. Jacob.
Yard.
Correct. The day before today. Azelle.
Yesterday.
Correct. Aries, Taurus, Gemini. Jessica.
Zodiac.
Correct. Color that combines with blue to make green. Jacob.
Yellow.
Correct. Scientific study of animals. Jessica.
Zoology.
Correct. A slide fastener used on clothing. Ethan.
Zipper.
Correct. 365 days. Anaya.
A year.
Correct. Ivy League college located in New Haven. Tiffany.
Yale.
Correct. A blue jewel, the birthstone. Ethan. Incorrect. All right. Electromagnetic waves used to make pictures of people's bones. Jacob.
X-ray.
Correct. 5 numbers put at the end of an address after the state. Jacob.
Zip code.
Correct. And a percussion instrument consisting. Jordan.
A xylophone.
That is correct. All right. Let's see. Zenith is the highest point or the best. And I think the only other one was zircon. Zircon, Ethan. That blue jewel, the birthstone for December. All right. That was a great effort by our teams in our final round. We'll be right back with our final score after this break. Please stay tuned.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Welcome back. Our final score for today's match is Jacksonville Commons 28 and Trexler 42. We'd like to thank you all for watching and ask you to please stay tuned for our next match featuring Dixon Middle School and Swansboro Middle School. Thank you.
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to savethefood.com.
La 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 la, I love you so. I love you, I love you. La 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 la, la 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 la.
We're here.
Yay!
It's a short drive from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
Welcome to Middle School Academic Derby. I'm Brent Anderson, and I'll be your moderator for today's match between the Pirates from Swansboro Middle School and the Bulldogs from Dixon Middle School. Let's get started by introducing our teams. We're going to first meet our team from Dixon Middle School, coached by Patty Brown.
Jacob Wilson, 7th grade.
Grace Glasgow, 7th grade.
Eden Hernandez, 6th grade.
Vivian Winter Hernandez, 8th grade.
And now our team from Swansboro Middle School, coached by Retta Meyer and Rosemary Adams.
Xavier Finch, 6th grade.
McKay Morris, 7th grade.
John Henderson, 8th grade.
Drew Nickerak, 7th grade.
All right. Now in our first round, we're going to ask 7 questions to each team. If the first team doesn't answer, the second team has a chance at the same question. After the first team has had a chance to answer all of their questions, the second team is going to have the same opportunity. In this first round, we always begin with our team on the top row, which is Swansboro. So Swansboro Middle, go ahead and get your buzzers ready. We're going to get you guys started off with a sports question for this round. Identify the term used in tennis for, quote, a point scored by a server when the receiver does not touch a legal serve. John?
Ace.
Ace is correct. Ace or service ace, either one. All right, Swansboro, your next question is a U.S. president's question. Identify the 20th U.S. president who was assassinated by Charles Guiteau in 1881. John?
Nixon.
No, not Nixon. Okay, reset that buzzer. And Dixon? All right, that president is James Garfield. James Garfield. All right, our next question for you, Swansboro, is a U.S. geography question. Identify the U.S. state in which the Camp David Accords were signed in 1978. This state is known as the Old Line State and also has the cities of Annapolis and Rockwell. John?
Virginia.
No, not Virginia. Dixon? Right next door to Virginia, the state is Maryland. Maryland. All right, Swansboro, your next question is a math question. So I'll read it twice. You have a little extra time to come up with the answer. How many is a score of scores? How many is a score of scores? John, right at the buzzer.
20.
That is incorrect. Dixon? All right. 400 is what we're looking for there. John, you're right. A score is 20. So a score of scores would be 20 times 20, which is going to be 400. All right. Our next question is an African geography question. Name the African country that begins with U, whose Burundi impenetrable forest faced the loss of tourism after 8 Western vacationers, including 2 Americans, were slaughtered there by rebels in 1999. Its capital is Kampala. Michaelan.
Uganda.
Uganda is correct. All right, our next question for you, Swansboro, is a science question. According to evolutionists, the fossilized remains of the Eohippus represent the ancestor of what modern 4-legged animal? John.
A bear.
No, not a bear. Dixon? All right, that animal is a horse. A horse. All right, our final question, Swansboro, for you in this round is an historical figures question. Name either the 19th century writers whose love was celebrated in Sonnets from the Portuguese, or the lovers who marry in Longfellow's The Courtship of Miles Standish. All right, anybody from Dixon on that one? All right, we'd be looking for either Robert and Elizabeth Barrett Browning or John Alden and Priscilla Mullins. All right, we're going to move now to Dixon for your 7 questions. We're going to get you started with a musical instruments question. Name the small guitar having 4 strings whose name literally means small leaping flea. Eden.
Banjo.
No, not a banjo. Swansboro? Michaelan.
Ukulele.
Ukulele is the instrument we're looking for there. All right, next we have a biology question for you, Dixon. Name 2 of the 4 main components of blood. So we need 2 of the 4. All right, Swansboro. Drew.
Plasma and red blood cells.
That is correct. Plasma and red blood cells. Could also have had white blood cells and platelets are the 4 parts there. All right, next we have a vocabulary question for you, Dixon. Which word beginning with the letter O and derived from Greek history means expulsion from society? Vivian.
Outcast.
No, not outcast. Swansboro? John?
Orbit.
No, not orbit. Outcast is on the right track there, Vivian. Ostracism is the word we're looking for there. You've been ostracized from society. All right, next we have a biblical geography question for you. An expert on ancient inscriptions claims that the wording, quote, James, son of Joseph, brother of Jesus, on a 1st century burial box refers to the Bible's Jesus. Identify the town where this Jesus, the Messiah, grew up as named in the phrase, Jesus of blank. All right, Swansboro. John.
Bethlehem.
No, not Bethlehem. Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus of Nazareth. All right. Our next question is a U.S. government question for you, Dixon. When sworn in as Secretary of Housing and Urban Development on January 18, 1966, Robert Weaver became the first black cabinet member. Which president nominated him? Jacob.
John F. Kennedy.
Not John F. Kennedy. Swansboro? John.
Richard Nixon.
You guys are on either side of it there. Lyndon Johnson. Lyndon Johnson is who we're looking for that president. All right, our next question is a U.S. state capitals question for you, Dixon. Identify the western U.S. state capital whose 2-word name begins with the chemical symbol for calcium. Swansboro? John?
San Jose.
Not San Jose. The state we're looking at is Nevada, and the capital of Nevada is Carson City, Ca for calcium. All right, and our final question for our first round, Dixon, is a math terms question. This is not a computation question, so won't read it twice. So one time, listen closely, it's math terms. What name is given to the quantity under the division symbol in a long division problem? Swansboro? McKaylin?
Dividend.
Dividend is correct. All right. And that question brings us to the end of our first round. We'll be right back with our score after this break. Please stay tuned.
They call me Prince like I'm royalty or something. But the places I've lived ain't no palaces. So I don't need grilled salmon or a new scratching post. Just give me a cardboard box and a can of tuna and we're good. You can even change my name. I'm cool being the kitty formerly known as Prince.
Hey, let's check out this park. Oh, wow, that's really cool.
To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back. Our score after the end of our first round is Swansboro Middle School 10 and Dixon 0. We're going to move now into our bonus round where either team may buzz in and answer the question. If the question's answered correctly, there will be 4 bonus questions asked, the answers of which must be given to the captain of the team. We have some new team members, so let's introduce them now, beginning with our team from Dixon Middle School.
Brody Galvin, 8th grade.
Kaya Del Piso, 6th grade.
And now our new player from Swansboro Middle School.
Colin Hewitt, 7th grade.
All right. Now, Brody, you're the captain for your team, and John, you're the captain for your team. Okay, if you guys go and pick up your buzzers, we're going to get started with our question for this second round, which is a literature question. Name Miss Watson's runaway slave who becomes Huck's traveling companion in The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Colin.
Tom Sawyer.
That's incorrect. Dixon, anybody? Okay, that runaway slave's name is Jim in Huckleberry Finn. All right, our next question for you is going to be a mythology question. Identify the mythological sisters with the faces of maidens and the feathered bodies of birds who by their singing lured sailors to their deaths. Kaya.
Sirens.
Sirens is correct. All right, Dixon, here are your 4 bonus questions. Identify each of the following concerning birds. Number 1, flightless bird with webbed feet and paddle-like flippers for swimming, a native of the southern hemisphere. Number 2, bird that is a symbol of wisdom. Number 3, bird that is a symbol of political and military might, sometimes called the king of birds. And number 4, a bird that is the symbol of peace. All right, Brady?
For number 1, we have penguin. Number 2, we have owl. Number 3, we have eagle. And number 4, we have dove.
And those are all correct. All right, good job. All right, we're going to move now to our next toss-up question, which is a human body toss-up question. Name 2 of the 3 types of muscle tissue in the human body. Jacob.
Smooth, skeletal, and rough. No, cardiac.
All right, you have given me all 3 of them. We only needed 2, but you gave me all 3. So skeletal, smooth or involuntary, and cardiac are all 3 of the types of muscle that we have there. All right, so Dixon, here are your 4 bonus questions. Identify each of the following concerning the human body. Number 1, kind of muscles that make the heart beat. Number 2, kind of muscles that work in pairs, one resting while the other contracts. Number 3, kind of muscles that permit voluntary movements. And number 4, the connective tissue that unites a skeletal muscle to the bone. All right, Brady, what you got?
For number 1, we have cardiac. Number 2, we have skeletal. Number 3, we have skeletal. And number 4, we have tendon.
And again, those are all correct. Nicely done. All right, our next toss-up question is going to be in the category of U.S. history. The Mason-Dixon line, named after 2 English astronomers, was the result of a survey to settle a boundary dispute between which 2 states, represented by the Penn family of one and the Calvert family of the other. John.
Pennsylvania and Maryland.
That is correct. Pennsylvania with the Penn family and the Calvert family from Maryland. All right, Swansboro, here are your 4 bonus questions. Of the 8 so-called border states, or slave states between the North and the Deep South, which 4 chose to stay in the Union during the Civil War? All right, John?
We have Georgia, Maryland, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania.
All right, Maryland was correct. All right, Brody, there are 3 other states still to be identified in that area. Any? All right, the other 3 states we had were Delaware, Kentucky, and Missouri. Delaware, Kentucky, and Missouri. All right, next we have a U.S. cities toss-up question for you. Which Montana city is named from the French for mound or hillock? This city, whose name begins with the letter B, lies on a plateau and is called, quote, the city that is a mile high and a mile deep. John?
Big?
No, not big. Dixon? All right, that city is Butte, Montana. All right, next we have a math question for you. And as we do in our first round, I'll read it twice and have a little bit of extra time to come up with the answer. In terms of pi, that's important, in terms of pi, what is the circumference of a circle with a diameter of 5? So again, in terms of pi, what is the circumference of a circle with a diameter of 5? John?
17.
That's incorrect. All right. Anybody from Dixon on that one? All right. The answer we're looking for there is 5 pi. It needed to be in terms of pi. So 5 pi is the answer we're looking for there. All right. That bell tells us that we've come to the end of our second round. We'll be right back with our lightning round and our score after this break.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self. And I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream,
that I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly, just to come back in a new disguise and be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
Welcome back to Middle School Academic Derby. After our second round, our score is Swansboro Middle School 14 and Dixon Middle School 24. We're going to move now to introduce our new players, and we have a new player for Dixon Middle School.
Benjamin Hernandez, 7th grade.
All right, thank you, Benjamin. Now, in our lightning round, we're going to be asking a series of 20 questions in 2 minutes. Remember, players, you must wait until I call your name before you answer, and any incorrect answers do give points to the other team. So if you'll pick up your buzzers and get ready, I will tell you that all of the answers in this round, it's going to be, I'm going to give you a state capital. You have to identify the state. So I'm going to give you the state capital. You tell me what state it is, okay? Everybody clear on that one? All right, go ahead and pick up your buzzers, and we will get started. There he is. Okay, Xavier's back. All right. So, again, I'll give you the state capital. You tell me the state. Here we go. Raleigh. Colin.
North Carolina.
Correct. Sacramento. Jacob.
California.
Correct. Cheyenne. Drew.
Montana.
Incorrect. Lincoln. Time. Columbus. Brody.
Ohio.
Correct. Charleston. Drew.
South Carolina.
Incorrect. Springfield. Time. Lansing. Brody.
Michigan.
Correct. Salem. Kaya.
Oregon.
Correct. Augusta. Brody.
Georgia.
Incorrect. Providence. Kaya. Time. Atlanta. Jacob.
Georgia.
Now's the time for Georgia. Phoenix. Colin.
Arizona.
Correct. Albany. Kaya.
New York.
Correct. Bismarck. Kaya.
North Dakota.
Correct. Olympia. Jacob.
Washington State.
Correct. Annapolis. Colin.
Maryland.
Correct. Little Rock. Kaya.
Oh my gosh. Arkansas.
Correct. Des Moines. Time. And Frankfurt. Kaya.
Kentucky.
That is correct. All right. Let's see. Cheyenne is Wyoming. Lincoln, Nebraska. Charleston, West Virginia. Charleston, West Virginia. Springfield, Illinois. And I think Des Moines was the last one. Des Moines, Iowa. All right. That's it with our lightning round. We'll be right back with our final score after this break.
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to SaveTheFood.com.
They're coming. Places, everybody.
Light check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Everything looks good on our end.
And lights.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Welcome back. Our final score for today's match is Swansboro Middle School 24 and Dixon Middle School 48. We'd like to thank everybody for watching Middle School Academic Derby. We'd also like to thank our scorekeepers for today, Ms. Erica Smith and Ms. Tricia Rochelle, for their assistance and all that they've done with today's match. For all of us with Onslow County Schools, thank you for watching and have a great evening.